Hello, I'm Bob Proctor. Over the next few minutes, I'd like to share some ideas with you that have truly impacted my life and have the potential of improving every aspect of your life. That may sound like an exaggeration, but I think by the time we've visited for a few minutes, you'll realize it's not. A colleague of mine has either given you this videotape or they've sat down and shared a few ideas with you and given you this brochure. It's the information in the brochure that I would like to talk to you about for a few minutes. If you bring your attention to the front of the brochure where we point out the world is changing, I think you're well aware of that, and I certainly am well aware of that. Do you know, for the past 40 years, I have studied, or virtually 40 years, I have been studying 3 or 4 subjects. Number 1, human potential, human behavior, money, and how we spend our days. And these are vitally important subjects. Do you know, as you see the globe here, we say there are 7 questions that demand an answer. And they truly do. But why and what are the questions about? Well, they're about you, and they're about how you spend your life. They're about me and how I spend my life. They're about your family, your next door neighbor. Do you see, the world is changing at such a rapid clip that the average individual has a difficult time staying up with it. We have a difficult time adapting to the changes that are taking place. And I have found that as a people, we get stuck in a paradigm trap. Now, for a long time, I didn't really know what that word meant. Joel Barker has given us a quote here that I think is excellent. It comes from his book, Paradigms. He said, "To ignore the power of paradigms to influence your judgment is to put yourself at risk when exploring the future." Now, do you know, when you look at this, you'll say, well, what is a paradigm? A paradigm is really nothing but a multitude of habits. We're really conditioned. We're conditioned environmentally, we're conditioned genetically prior to birth. And we're conditioned to live and think and work in a certain way. And I have come to the conclusion that frequently we do the same thing day in, day out, year in, year out, and sometimes these things we're doing are not too constructive. Now, I stumbled on some information way back around 1960, 61, and just like that, my life changed. And I became so fascinated with what happened to me. My income went from $4,000 a year to $175,000 a year, then it went over $1 million, and this wasn't supposed to happen. With the qualifications I had, I should have probably been laboring very hard all my life, but I haven't been. And I decided I wanted to know exactly what did happen to me. And that's what put me on the road I'm on. I began to study. And I found that most of the things I've studied are not taught in school. It's rather a shame, but they're just not. We can go right through our educational system and come out and know very little about ourselves. We can get a degree in economics from the most prestigious university in the world and know absolutely nothing about earning money. If it wasn't sad, it would be comical. So I'm going to ask you to bring your attention to the globe on the front of this brochure and take a look here. There are 7 questions that demand an answer. Now, if you don't have the time to really go through this with me, I would suggest you maybe set this aside and come back and look at it later. We're going to spend maybe 15 or 20 minutes, but these questions definitely do demand an answer. You see, because we don't adapt to the changes that are taking place, we get out of balance. And we may not look at it as being out of balance, but we wonder what's wrong. We know something's wrong, we don't know what it is. We're not living the way we really want to live. Frequently, if a person has little children, they don't spend the time with them they'd like to spend. They don't spend the time with their spouse or their loved ones that they'd like to spend. And we ask, well, why don't we? Well, we don't really know the answer to that. Now, if you just open this brochure and take a look right across the top of the brochure, we mention here that the new economy has ushered in the opportunity for you to enjoy an exciting, balanced life. Now, you might be thinking, what do you mean the new economy? Well, we're living in a different economy. The economy has changed dramatically. We were taught if you go to school and get a good education and get a job in a large company, that you'll be as safe as Adam's ox. And if you're loyal, you'll be secure for the rest of your life. And a lot of people did that, but they found out it didn't work. They walked in one day after maybe 15, 18 years of dedicated work and hard work. And like that, they found out that they were on the street. And they're in a bit of a state of shock. They don't know what happened. Now, just come with me for a moment and look here on this first page. I want you to look at this sand timer. Let the sand in the glass represent the time of your life. Because you know, life is very important, and it should be an exciting adventure. It should never be a bore. And it can be exciting, but it's not going to be exciting by accident. So if we let the sand here in the glass represent our life, the sand in the top of the glass represents the future, the sand in the bottom of the glass represents the past. Now there's absolutely nothing we can do about the past. The past is gone. I think we got some excellent information when we were told to let the dead bury the dead. Now the sand in the top of the glass represents the future. But you know, it's a strange thing about the future. We don't know how much sand is in the top of the glass. The only thing we know for sure is what's happening right here, right now. And if you really pay attention, just take a look at this drawing. The sand in the center is always moving. It never stops. It doesn't wait until we catch up or until we get something straightened out. Now, do you know, when I look at the sand on the top of the glass, I think of a couple of stories. They're personal stories that I'm going to share with you, and I'm quite certain as I go through them, you're going to think a couple of you yourself. When I was a little boy and I first became aware that I guess I was in this world, my grandmother was present. My grandmother pretty well raised me. She came to live with us when my grandfather died a couple of years before I arrived. And Grandma was a dear woman. I suppose she was probably around 60 when I was born, and I always thought of Grandma as an old lady. Now, I've since changed my attitude about that. I have changed my attitude about a number of things, and age is one of them. But Grandma was always saying, "I'll soon be gone, dear, I'll soon be gone." Now, we got to a point we thought she was never going to go. Now, we didn't want her to. I mean, she was just a wonderful person. And I often say Grandma was just like an angel of God. She just went to sleep one night and the angels came and took her away. But she was 94. From the time she was 60 until I became an adult. She was always saying, "I'll soon be gone." You see, if you go back to the sand again, Grandma thought she only had a little bit of sand left when the truth is she had a lot. Now, when I was growing up, I chummed around with another young fellow named Bob Yates. Bob turned 16 2 or 3 months ahead of me, and of course we were always looking forward to getting our driver's license, and Bob got his driver's license ahead of me. And he was coming in a highway into the city, and he ran into the abutment of a bridge, and like that, his life was snuffed out. 16 years old. Now, that was a great shock, and it impacted my life at the time, and I can remember it very clearly. Now, if you had asked Bob how much sand he had left in the top of the glass, he probably would have said, I don't know, half a century. He didn't have a half an hour. Here's Grandma thinking she had a little bit of time, and she actually had a lot. So you see, if we look at this sand and we let it represent our life, the first question on the bottom of the page is probably one of the most important questions that you or I could ever ask ourselves. So I'm going to ask you to bring your attention to this page and look at this first question. Everyone is trading their life for something. What are you trading your life for? Do you know, up until a gentleman sat down with me in 1961, I was making a real bad trade. I was just waking up in the morning and trying to get through the day. I know exactly what I'm trading my life for today. I love what I do. I spend the days doing what I love, and I'm making a conscious and deliberate choice. And so are my friends. So is my colleague that gave you this videotape. What are you trading your life for? Now, that really demands an answer. Now, flip over to the second page with me just for a moment. You'll see here on the page are the apothecary scales. You'll notice a P on the left-hand side and an M on the right. Now, there in small print, we point out that the P represents psychic income. And the psychic income is the satisfaction we get from how we spend our days. We should spend our days doing what we love doing. And then you look at the M represents material income, and the material income is the amount of money you earn to provide the things you want. Now, do you see, if we go back to the top of the page here and we take a look at this scale, we'll see that it's balanced. And it's balanced because we're spending our days doing whatever it is that we truly love doing. What do you truly love doing? And then you look on the other side, and you're earning the amount of money you need to provide the things you want to live the way you choose to live. Do you realize that there's only about 1% of the population that are doing this? Now you come to the bottom of the page here, you see the scales are totally out of balance. On the left, you'll notice that the M is high and the P is low. High income, no satisfaction. You'll notice on the other side of the page, high psychic income, low material income. A lot of satisfaction, but no money. I was doing a seminar in Northern California a year or so ago, and there was a young lady named Angel. She was a native of Hawaii who had flown in for the seminar. And I asked her at one point, I said, Angel, what do you truly love doing? And she said, I love teaching school. And I said, you're a school teacher? And she said, yeah. I said, what grade do you teach? And her head sort of went down, and she said, I don't. I said, what do you mean? Well, she said, I had to quit because I wasn't earning any money. And that's not uncommon. I would imagine there's a lot of qualified school teachers who are not teaching school. They really love developing those little minds, but they just weren't earning enough money. Now, a lot of people fall into that category. If you go on the left-hand side, I wouldn't want to guess at the number of times I've heard people say that I absolutely hate what I'm doing. And I say, why don't you quit? They'll say, well, I can't. I need the money. Big mortgage, little kids. Well, is your life in balance? Now let's take a look at the second question. And this is definitely a question that demands an answer. When you're enjoying the balanced life that the new economy offers, how are you going to spend your days? What would you do? That's a beautiful question. A lot of people don't even know that there is a new economy. The masses of people rushing up and down the street every day, they don't even know that they can bring their life into balance. You see, if they're going to bring their life into balance, like in the center of the page, they realize they have to do less work and put less effort into it and earn more income. And of course, that's not the way we're programmed, is it? We have been programmed to believe that if we're going to earn more money, we've got to do more work. I remember I had 5 jobs at one time. Why? Because that's what I thought you had to do. I thought you had to get an extra job and another job. And you had to work harder if you're going to earn more money. So if we take a look at this, less work, less effort, more income, that certainly is not the way we've been programmed. Well, I'm going to suggest you might want to change your programming. Flip over to the next page for a moment. You'll see right at the top of the page is the subject money. And I point out there hardly anyone understands it. You'll notice the dotted arrow going to the opposite side of the page, and it points out that riches come in response to definite demands based upon the application of definite principles and not by chance or luck. Now, Napoleon Hill wrote that in a book, Think and Grow Rich. He spent his entire life studying 500 of the world's most successful people. I have been reading one particular copy of that book since 1963. I had another one for a couple of years before that. Now, it's not that there's so much in the book. It's that there's so much I don't understand, because it's a paradigm shift. I really believed you had to work to earn money. Do you know that working is the worst way to earn money? Now, that may sound strange, and you may want to just shut me off at that point. I'm going to suggest you really keep your mind open at this point and really pay attention to this page. You'll notice on the left-hand side 3 income earning strategies. Most people never thought of income as even having a strategy. And you know why? It's because we're not taught how to earn money. 1% of the population understand money. 99% do not. Now, let's just take a second and think about money. Because you see, we don't understand it. Do you know almost everything we're taught about money is false? Do you know that earning money has absolutely nothing to do with intelligence? It has nothing to do with formal education. It has nothing to do with your background. Earning money has nothing to do with gender or geography. It has nothing to do with age. You say, well, what has it got to do? It's a decision. It's a decision. And you know that my colleague, the one that gave you this, they can sit down and they can show you if you make the right decision. We can actually show you how to turn your best annual income into a monthly income. Now, I know that when I first heard that, I thought it was pie in the sky, and I had a difficult time believing it. But you know, if you stop and think about it, there's people earning as much every month as you earn all year. I never had any formal education. I had 2 months high school. I had a terrible business record. In fact, it wasn't even business, it was a work record. I really didn't know very much, and like that, my income went from 4,000 to 175. Then it went over 1 million. I was so shocked with what was happening. Everybody around me was, but I certainly was. And so I started to study it. And you know, I have found there's people who are functionally illiterate who are multimillionaires. And there's other people who are absolutely brilliant and they're broke. I have worked all over the world now for the past 30 years teaching people how to earn money, or the philosophy, the strategy of how to earn money. I've worked from Madras in India to Montreal and Quebec. I've worked throughout Europe, throughout Asia, all over Australia, New Zealand, all over North America. I have been hired by some of the largest companies in the world to come in and help their employees shift their paradigm. In other words, change their conditioning. And you know, if you pay real close attention to what I'm talking about, you can shift yours. I'm forever changing my own. I don't know as we ever get it completely changed. Now take a look at M1, M2, and M3. There are 3 income earning strategies. M1 is one of the worst income earning strategies there is, and yet you'll see 96% of the population are following this strategy. Now when you hear it so bad, you think, well, it must all be laborers. No, doctors follow M1. Do you realize that most doctors are working more time, putting in more hours to earn less money? As a matter of fact, almost all doctors go in because they absolutely love what they're doing and they have an entrepreneurial spirit. And you know, in today's world, they're quickly becoming government employees. They really are. And they don't like it. Why? Well, it's a new economy. The world has shifted. And we've got to shift. I have about 4,000 doctors who are associates of mine. They're associates of the colleague that gave you this videotape. And these doctors are waking up to what's happening and they're changing it. They're following the advice that's in this brochure. I have a business partner that's a lawyer. And he'll tell you, chargeable hours, the most important words in a lawyer's vocabulary. Why? Well, you see, M1 is where we trade our time for money. It has an inherent problem. It's a bad idea. Why? Well, because we run out of time. Engineers, accountants, architects, laborers. 96% of the population. Do you know that a person using this strategy, if they do become wealthy, it's at the expense of a life because they've squirreled away everything that they've earned. They've compromised when it comes to purchasing a car, a home, the clothes they wear, the vacations they take. They have never really lived. They have not lived the way they truly want. They do not spend their days doing what they truly love to do. Now, if you haven't been, and if you have been in this M1 strategy, don't feel bad about it. Get excited about the fact that I'm going to show you how to change it. And my friend that gave you this brochure and this tape can help you. That person will introduce you to me and a whole lot of other people who are all on the same track, moving down the same road. It's the right road to a bright future. Look at M2 for a moment. M2 is an excellent strategy, but it's only followed by 3% of the population, and for obvious reasons. It's where you invest money to earn money. You see, some people in the M1 strategy will use M2. They take part of their income and they put it there. But it's a good strategy if you're really good at it. But M3 is the strategy. Now, as you take a look at M3, M3 is where you multiply your time through the efforts of others by setting up multiple sources of income. Do you see, wealthy people don't have one source of income. They've got multiple sources of income. And you know, they don't compete in the business world. They're creating. They're truly creating. Do you know, God gave us more potential than we'll ever use. I have a friend of mine that says God's gift to us is more talent and ability than we'll ever hope to use in our lifetime. Our gift to God is to develop as much of that talent and ability as we can in this lifetime. Do you know there's only 1% of the population that are using the M3 strategy, and yet they earn 96% of all the money that's earned? I read in a recent report that came out in a newspaper here in a major North American city just about a month ago that the gap between the people that are earning money and the ones that are not is getting wider every day. They pointed out in recent research that the top 10% of income earners are earning 314 times what the bottom 10% are earning. Think about this. It's totally out of balance. Do you know that there's 348 billionaires in the world that control more money than all of the countries put together that house 45% of the world's population? The top 1% in wealth have more money than the bottom 90% all put together. Well, do you know that the person that gave you this videotape, myself, and the people I'm associating with are helping change that, because I happen to believe that you and I can change the world. The world has been changed by one or two people many, many times. And you know something? It's being changed again because we truly are moving into a new economy. There's two words, network marketing. They're magic words. When I first heard them, my mind went closed. And you know, it's a strange thing that my mind went closed because I teach people to keep an open mind. Network marketing is a distribution system that's ushering in the new economy. It is the concept that's giving people the opportunity to become truly financially independent. And it's not discriminatory. Nepotism, favoritism, it's out. It won't work. It's gone. It's something of the past. Well, you know, for 30 years, I have been teaching this concept, and I have never been able to give a person a vehicle. I came across a company, there's a number of network marketing companies, but there's one that stands out like a bright beacon on a dark night. It's a Japanese company. It's been in business 23 years. The name of the company is Nikan, and they produce a product that's second to none. They're manufacturing and distributing a product that Emerson predicted 150 years ago was coming. He said the doctor of the future will use no medicine. You want to take a real close look at the products that my colleague can show you. They're phenomenal products. And you know something? You can't buy them anywhere else. Nikan is an extraordinary company. It has an extraordinary product. It offers an extraordinary opportunity. I have worked with Fortune 500 companies for 30 years. And you know, when I saw this, I knew that I'd come onto something. Now, this is an educated opinion. This isn't some opinion that's born of ignorance. This is born of close to 40 years of studying human potential. Do you know, James Lincoln, when he was president of Lincoln Electric, said America leaves its greatest resource largely untapped. And he said that resource is the intelligence, the initiative, the productive power latent in every individual. But you know, almost all the companies I worked for, they worked at attempting to change that, but it was sort of a feeble effort, because most of the money was going into buildings and going into equipment and going into systems. It was not going to the people. Nikan have 5 pillars of health. They understand what James Lincoln was talking about. Mr. Masuda, the founder of the company, is very tuned in to holistic health. Heal the whole person. Develop the whole person. Do you know, this is without question the best idea I've ever come across. John A. Patton, the leading management engineer, said when we learn to manage people, the increase in productivity will be likened to the relationship of the water wheel to nuclear energy. Do you see the question number 3? Question number 3 is, when your annual income, it's yours, not mine. When your annual income becomes your monthly income through the M3 strategy, what is the first thing you'll change? Now, don't just treat that as something that you're hearing on your monitor. I want you to think about it. What's the first thing you'll change? Now, just think, you would have all kinds of free time, and your annual income like that has become your monthly income. That's incredible. Well, do you know something? I can show you how to do that. My colleague has the talent, the ability, right at their fingertips that can show you how to do it. Now, take a look at the next page. You'll see that the old economy, competition was the way it went. There was a limited supply. The most prestigious universities in the world tell us there's a limited supply. See the little pie in the center of the page? The circle represents a pie with the cutouts. Well, you see, the old economy said, if I want more pie for myself, if I want to get more than my piece of the pie, I'm going to have to outmarket, outsell you, and somebody, you or somebody else, is going to have to get less if I'm going to get more. Now take a look at the bottom, because Nikan, the M3 strategy, gives us the tools, the vehicle, for a very creative approach to life. And it's the new economy. There's an infinite supply, and there is. Go read your Bible, read the Bhagavad Gita, read the Torah, read the Quran, all the good books. They all tell us there's an infinite supply. We say it, but do we believe it? Well, I'm going to tell you there is. I don't just believe it, I know it. And we can introduce you to it. Now think here, if I want more pie for myself, I'm just going to create a larger pie. And then I'll receive more, and others can too if they choose. I'm going to suggest you make that choice right now. Now look at question number 4. And I want you to think. As a matter of fact, I want you to take a pen. I want you to take a pen in your hand, and I want you to write on this page, beside the pie, who is the first person with whom you'll share this creative approach to life. Put the person's name down right there. You know the first person I shared this with? My own wife. When I first heard this, she had to know about it. Now go back to the previous page, right beside M3. I want you to write in there, right beside the 1%, the amount of money that you've earned in your best year. And I want you to leave that there, and I want you to carry this brochure around with you. Keep it in your briefcase. And when you meet me, I want you to show it to me, and I want to shake hands with you. And you know, you're going to see that there's a whole team of people that are going to help you convert that number into a monthly income. All right, now let's turn over to questions 5 and 6, because they are very, very important. No more important than the others, but very important. Now you'll notice at the top of the page of the brochure, we point out here that you can build your own organization employing the M3 strategic plan and enjoy residual income from multiple sources. Now, do you know, if you look on page 5, you'll see an organizational chart here. This is a multi-million-dollar model. It really is. I have watched people who were stay-at-home housewives, secretaries. I've seen doctors, lawyers, accountants, laborers who have adopted this model and are enjoying an income well over $1 million a year. Now that may sound like fantasy, but then again, isn't that where everything starts? So I'm going to ask you to really pay close attention as I explain this. You know, you see here, You Inc. It's your company. Now, Michael Gerber wrote a marvelous book called The E-Myth, The Entrepreneurial Myth. And he pointed out that if your business requires your presence, you don't even have a business, you have a job. So when you look at this and think of the NECAN opportunity, I want you to consider it for a moment. I'm just going to hit some of the real highlights of it. You have no paperwork, you have no bookkeeping, you have no shipping, you have no inventory control. You have no employees, you have no office, you have a fax and a phone, and you can operate your business from anywhere in the world. You go to Hawaii on a vacation, or if you live in Hawaii, you could go to Samoa on a vacation. And as long as you have access to a telephone, a fax, the internet, you can run the business. It is the most incredible opportunity that I have ever seen. Now, as I said before, I've looked at a lot of opportunities. I've worked all kinds of opportunity shows. I've consulted for many, many franchise corporations. But I have never in my entire life seen anything that will equal this. It is so good. It's such a paradigm shift that a lot of people miss it. A lot of very bright people, because they say it's too good to be true. Well, you know, the statement itself is rather foolish. How could anything possibly be too good to be true? You see, God did intend us to live an abundant life. We would have never been endowed with the magnificent faculties that we have if it had not been so. Now, I want you to take a look here on this organizational chart. You make a decision. Sit down with my colleague who has given you this tape or given you the brochure and say, I think I want to do this. I want to take this to the next step. And for just pennies, you can become an authorized representative of this company. You'll be an independent authorized distributor of the finest products in the world. You will be proud of these products. Does that mean you have to quit your job, sell your business? Not at all. This is what we call a multiple source of income. I've been teaching MSIs, or multiple source of income, for a long time. This is a true one. Now, when you start to see the benefit of this, the income potential of this, and all the different rewards and awards that come from this, you're going to want to share this with people. And so what we're doing is suggesting, if you just share this with 7 people, now you're probably going to share it with many more than that, almost everyone I know does, but with 7 strong people, you can literally, with the assistance that we will provide, you can literally build yourself a 7-figure annual income. As a matter of fact, there's some people working towards that on a monthly basis. Now, are these people 1 through 7, are they employees of yours? Absolutely not. From their point of view, they will be in the box that says you wink. But you will receive an override on everything that group does or their organization does forever. It is absolutely incredible. Now, I'm not going to elaborate on that, but just to say that just 7 people. Now, let me ask you the 5th question. Who are 7 people that you will take pleasure out of helping become financially independent and with whom you would enjoy being in business? That's a good question, and it's not a question that should be treated lightly. Now, I want you to take a look at that again. I'm going to ask you to pick up your pen, and I'm going to ask you to write the names of the 7 people, and do it right now. Put this on pause and write the name above each one of the 7. Now you'll see that we have 3 women and 4 men. You might have 7 women. You might have 7 men. You might have 4 women and 3 men. You might have 5 women and 2 men. Don't let that sway your thinking. These are 7 individuals. 7 individuals who you would really like to help become financially independent and with whom you would enjoy being in business. It's very important that you write their names there. All right, now look over onto the next page. You'll see the income, the money in various different denominations and from many different countries. It just sort of seems like it's floating down through the air. Well, do you know there is only one source of supply? You're a spiritual being, you live in a physical body, and you have an intellect. And everything comes from one source. Most people don't understand that. They think they get their income from a company. No one gets their income from a company. And all thinking people know this. The 1% that we talked about that was earning 95%, 96% of all the money that's earned, they know where their income comes from. It comes from one infinite source. It comes through various companies. I refer to this as mailbox money. So you see here on the bottom of page 6, PSI. That's your psychic source of income. It's the psychological satisfaction you get from spending your days doing the things that you truly love to do. I have a number of friends that spend almost all summer with their kids. They go out on houseboats, they go away to beautiful places, they take them on great holidays. They're raising their children to really understand that abundance is our birthright. Now, my colleague that gave you this can put you on the right track and can do it right away. Bring your attention to question number 6. How much additional monthly income do you seriously want to establish over the next 90 days through MSI technology? This is a beautiful concept. This is what we call the short-term income objective. This is where you set up MSIs. You have income coming from multiple sources. Now, you know, I go out on the road, I'm on the road traveling, I come back. I usually have 2, 3, 4 checks sitting there waiting for me when I get home. When I go to bed tonight, I'm going to be earning money. I earn money I have it coming in from Singapore, from Australia, from Madras, from all over North America. Do you know why? I made the decision. That's all there is to it. There's a lot of people that are a lot brighter than me that help me. And you know something? There's a lot of bright people that will help you. As a matter of fact, I will make a commitment that I will help you. You've got it on tape, you've got it on video. I will make a commitment that I will help you. Now, if you were to phone my office, it would cost you a lot of money to hire me. I'll help you, and it won't cost you 5 cents. You might say, well, how are you going to do that? Sit down with my colleague, the one that gave you this tape. He or she will explain exactly how I'll do it. And I'll put a lot of heart into it. Do you know why? I am dedicated to doing one thing for the rest of my life. I just want to help people understand some of what I understand. I want people to enjoy the life that I enjoy and that my colleagues enjoy. Now, flip to the back cover and take a look here. You'll notice at the top of the page it says decision. Do you know that's something that you and I are not taught in school? Napoleon Hill said that is the missing link in all systems of education known to civilization today. We are never taught to make a decision. That's why we run around and say, what do you think I should do? Well, I'm going to ask you, what do you think you should do? Take a look at the quote here by Napoleon Hill. He said, the leaders in every walk of life decide quickly and firmly. That's the major reason why they're leaders. And you know, there's only 2 types of people in the world. There's leaders and there's followers. There's no sin in being a follower. As a matter of fact, you can never be a good leader if you can't be a good follower. But you know, there's no compensation in remaining a follower. And you know, you can become a leader. You can become a leader in your community. You can become a leader in your society. You can do what I have been doing for well over 30 years, and I get phenomenal satisfaction out of it. You can help other people live the life God meant them to live. Now look down on this back of the cover and read this. Read it with me and think about it. There is a team, and it's a huge team of knowledgeable professionals who, along with myself and my colleague that gave you this tape, who are prepared to help you. And there's a 3-point help here. Build your organization, develop an exciting residual income, and number 3, enjoy the balanced life that the new economy offers. And I'm sure you want it. I'm sure your loved one wants you to have it. A balanced life. Now, think of what that means. We're going to spend our days doing the things we truly love to do. And we're going to earn the amount of money we need to provide the things we want to live the way we choose to live. You'll find people say to you, well, money won't make you happy. I want you to remind them that that is an absolutely absurd statement. Money was never meant to make us happy. Money is meant to make us comfortable. Money is meant to enable us to extend the service we render far beyond our own physical presence. And you are capable, you are very capable by following this simple system that we will help you with of turning your best annual income into a monthly income. I'll introduce you to people, and my colleague will introduce you to people that are earning hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. Think about that. You'll say, does anybody earn that? Yes, there's a lot of people doing it. And you want to know something beautiful? You can do it. You really can. Now I'm going to take you to the most important question on this entire brochure. And the most important question is the one that absolutely demands an answer. And I'm going to suggest when you ask yourself this question, that you operate on the understanding that with every question comes an answer. Emerson said, listen to the quiet voice within that's telling you the way to go. We run around and we're saying to everybody, what do you think I should do? We do that because we're programmed not to make decisions. Begin right now to make a decision. How can we help you begin now? That's the question. And my colleague will help you. And I'll help you. But you've got to help yourself. I like the way Martin Root put it. He said, you've got to do it by yourself, and you can't do it alone. I'm going to suggest that the second you turn off your set, the second you stop listening to this message, that you pick up the telephone and you phone the person that has given you this information, this brochure, or this cassette, or this video. And I'm going to suggest that you pick up a pen and you put your name on the line decreeing that you have done what a few thousand other brilliant people have done and become an independent Nikan distributor. And when you do that, I've given you my word, I will help you build a business. But you want to know something? I'm just one small part of a team of truly beautiful people who understand that God operates this whole universe in an orderly way. And if we're going to win, we've got to follow that way. There's no such thing as winning without helping somebody else to win. Give and you'll receive. Emerson called that the law of laws. But you know something? You've got to learn how to receive. Pick up the phone, pick up a pen, and join our team. This is Bob Proctor, and I want to thank you.